Welcome back to the table. You are with Finding a Tori, a weekly TTRPG podcast. We have three lifelong friends who have played the game, run the games, and done the games for 30 years plus. And we have for, I don't know how many times in a row now, a full studio. I have Tori here with us. Mm-hmm. I have Arcadia here.
Hey.
And Jess has joined us in studio again today for what's going to be a little bit of a controversial conversation.
Ruh-roh.
I think everyone's had their say on this. And if you go to social media, you can smell what they're cooking in all different varieties. It's almost become that elephant in the room because you are going to get a lot of people that just step out of the conversation and don't want to talk to you. You're going to get a lot of very poorly informed and over-exuberant opinions. But today, as a podcast, we're going to have a discussion about artificial intelligence in your TTRPG experience. Guys, are we cringing? Are we into this? How are we feeling?
Depends on how it's used.
Okay.
Same, really.
Okay. Let's get into that and more. And Arcadia, you've done a little bit of research on this. I want to point a couple questions to you and then prompt, conversation from the group on it. First question for you, what did you find out there when you were looking into this as a podcast topic?
I think you hit it nail on the head. It is a controversial topic. You have people who are all in. Mm-hmm. You have people who would not use AI if you held a gun to their head.
Okay, so...
And you have people in every spectrum in between.
Okay. And would you say that the rhetoric, the conversations are constructive on the most part, or has this become divisive in our little community?
From what I have seen now, I will say you're on social media. Mm-hmm. I think the platform itself is divisive. Mm-hmm. And so you see a lot of
back and forth and a lot of nastiness in some ways when people disagree.
When there's disagreement. And like you said, that's probably a product of the platform. And I think that it's important to start with the conversation about what it is. What is AI in TTRPG? What is its application and what is it not? What are people actually in disagreement about? And I know that at our table, we have our own uses for it, for gaming to professional life to other things. Mm-hmm. Are we talking about giving over role-playing and giving over GMing to AI and not engaging in those parts of it? Or is this a tool that's the assist that can be, applied to make a better game?
So interesting part about AI is yes. Mm-hmm. Right? From everything in between. So I think there is a reality in which in this day and age, some people do not have a table to play at.
Right.
In which AI is can be a tool to use to unfortunately replace a GM, mm-hmm. or to provide some of the functions of a GM when you are not at a table with other people.
Right. And to be clear, that sort of, and I'll go back to your GM specifically, mm-hmm. replacing the GM with technology is not new to AI.
No.
There have been chat board, there's apps, there's things that take you through story
There's
days.
games.
There's games that do not require that GM, and that feels to me like one of those most logical places for it to fit in is if you do not have a table and you're not running that. We've talked about this briefly before. Jess, have you ever engaged in that solo RPG setting where there's something else running the game for you?
Well, how about a video game?
I mean, other than video games
where
it's
like
a preset thing, but like I think in that case there could very well still have been the AI engine of the game handles the mechanics, but the story itself was created by a person.
Right.
So that's different from the application where it's like Everything's done by the AI.
But from the end user perspective, probably doesn't feel very different.
Because
may
you're
not.
replacing that GM. Once again, your tool application there.
Now, I will say there is going to be a huge argument to the effect of that, like you can say, well, from the end user, it doesn't feel very different. But one of the biggest controversial issues around AI in our community is, are you replacing people? Are you replacing creatives? Are you replacing artists? Are you replacing? And then that is a big thing that people want to avoid.
What do we think about that? Because we're in a space and we're adjacent to a lot of people that use their creativity as a business. That you're going to buy my module, you can download my product. I've put time into this, and are we trying to replace that? Are we accidentally replacing that, or can those two things still coexist righteously in our community, in our hobby?
I think we actually talked about this before when we were talking about AI art. And I think we hit upon a good middle ground there, which I think also applies here. Like, if you are actually replacing a person with it, like if this was, I think we came to the conclusion with the art thing was like, if this was a thing that you would normally have bought, then you should still buy it. But if the choice would have been like, I just wouldn't have bought anything for this because
Right.
it was not important enough to me to like a character profile picture on D&D Beyond or something. Like that's not something I would ever have paid for art. I would have just used nothing. Then yeah, an AI generated thing, because I'm not taking custom away from anybody, because I literally just, if AI art hadn't been an option, I would have had nothing there.
Right.
So-
And I think that's pretty good walkover to this as well, is that, you know, if I'm not encroaching on the artistic creative community and taking away from what they would be providing that I would part with resources for and replacing it, then I'm not, because what are we job stealing here? Are we taking someone's livelihood is what that conversation's about.
See, and that is especially with the art, is, you know, it's a good for a quick fix.
Yeah.
It's good for I'm going to steal that just for until I can actually get the proper.
Right. Or like where something didn't matter, like my D&D Beyond profile picture for my character. Like that doesn't matter.
Sure.
Like
So one of the things that, as I've thought about this, had other conversations with other people about it, that I came around to was sort of an analogy of like the Industrial Revolution. Before everything was mechanized, it was made by hand. It was made by artisans and craftsmen.
Right.
And changing over to industry by machine meant a lot of those people were no longer doing that job. And yet it was the reality of what the new world was going to be because of cost, because of efficiency, because of whatever, because of, hey, capitalism. But so we've all gotten to this point where we expect to be able to go out to a store and buy our clothes off the rack quickly, cheaply, you know, whatever. Very few people within society can, you know, afford to have everything tailor-made, et cetera, et cetera. It used to be that was the only way you had clothes made. I sort of see, I don't think AI is going anywhere, whether that's good or bad. I'm not going to make a judgment call on. But as far as like the art and the creatives and things like that, I think that if we move into this world where AI is generating profile pics or whatever it is, I think there's something to be said that when you want real art, you're still going to have to go to a craftsman. You're still going to have to go to an artist. I don't think a machine can replace that. And even if you can get something printed out that looks beautifully by a machine, like, I don't know. I feel like we as people are going to recognize that that thing that is handcrafted is of more value. I mean, it's where we are now. Like if I go out and buy something that can be made by a machine, but it's made by a person, it costs more. It's, you know, it's deemed to be of higher value.
Right.
I don't know.
Makes good sense. So going on from there, where do we find its place and use in the hobby positively? Where do you think that there's been good applications? Where have you seen it work well? Or do you think that at a table is there space for people to say no? Like going back to that online argument that we had conversations about offline, at the table, are we good with it? And where do you want to see it in game?
So I know I don't want to be the only voice here, but I know that we've been using it sort of in this middle ground, of you're a busy person and don't necessarily have all the time to maybe create the setting description.
So that GM assist thing.
Yeah, I sort of, to me, it's a tool. That's my thing, is I hate to see it become the GM.
Right.
Yeah.
Unless you want to play and have no other option.
Unless you don't have other options, Great if you don't have other options. Wonderful. But I think using it as a tool to help seems reasonable.
Yeah, I've used as a GM, in the game that I'm running as GM, I have actually used it for I only have a certain amount of time to put together this session, and I would rather spend my brain power and time on the things that are all right, this is the story I'm telling. That's what I'm focusing on. And then I use it to fill in the details, and I just tell it, all right, come up with something funny. And oddly enough, that ended up being a thing that my players hooked on, that I don't know that I would have thought of that. And because it was just some random detail about something in the background that didn't matter, and it's oh yeah,
it mattered,
and then it ended up mattering, and I had to pivot. But that's what being a GM is. I could have described it myself, and players
same thing
latched on the same thing. It's like that. I swear I've seen a meme somewhere where there's the D&D players in a tavern, and there's a character who's described as the Dark Lord whatever, and then there's Steve, and the players are asking
right.
tell me about Steve. What is
right.
Steve? And
I think
the
we've all
dude's
seen
name,
that
the
one.
Dark Lord. Yeah, so it's gonna happen regardless, so that didn't change anything. It was just it took a lot less time to come up with the background details,
so
what's in those cargo crates.
An efficiency thing is what we're talking about, and that kind of leans into it being used as a tool. On the GM side, do you think that there's a situation where you could have a problem with that at the table? Do you think, from a player or a GM side, if you are playing at a table where it's being used heavy, are there pitfalls there and things that we should be concerned about?
So I found this really interesting conversation on one of the socials that is within the community. And it was a GM coming to the table and saying, hey, I've got this player who is using AI at the table to create his script when he has to role play a situation.
So dialogue.
Yeah. And the GM was someone who is really against AI usage, and absolutely just was really put off by the fact that their player was doing this and wanted people's thoughts on it. And they ranged from everything, that you would expect on an AI topic. I think I don't disagree with him, in his viewpoint was that this person wasn't really role playing.
No, they were reading.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And so I hear that as I wouldn't like that. I would not enjoy that at the table. But the flip side of it that was argued was this person might not be, and we don't know, but might not be comfortable role playing. And it could be them leveraging the tool to help them do that. I understand that. I occasionally can jump in and really get into my character enough that I'm using dialogue, but most of the time I am telling you what my character is doing.
Okay.
So I don't know.
Yeah, and then there's when I try to role play, I can get really awkward about it. So I do tend to do I've described to you what my character is doing.
Right,
and if somebody asks me to do actual dialogue, that's where I get really awkward, which makes it super fun playing really charismatic bard. Yeah.
But you can always do that description. At least at our table, if you've got something that you want to say in character, you can say, blah, blah, blah says this and then does this action. I've always felt that that's a level of comfort at the table thing. And if it's not detrimental to others, if this player using AI to help them role play is not hurting the rest of the table, then you have a player preference situation in my mind. But then again, if it is and it's taking away from the overall table experience, then that's going to be a conversation that you'd have regardless of topic and what that player action was.
Yeah, and I think my biggest issue around that whole conversation was the idea that perhaps the GM was sort of forcing this person to role play. So like if you were trying to do a persuasion check,
That would be a different beast.
right?
Altogether.
Like if you were trying to do a persuasion check and what I actually like how I said it and what I said
Right.
had to actually persuade the GM. To me, that makes the game, that takes the game so far that like to Jess's point, like if I want to, maybe I want to play a charismatic bard because I am the furthest thing from it. I am geeky and awkward, and I'm not saying this about you, Jess. I'm just trying to use the
except
situation.
you are describing
Okay,
it.
well, I'm sorry.
I
But
own
like,
it.
like,
It's me.
But to the idea of like a lot of times we sit at table to play something that is entirely different than what we are. And if you are asked to then actually be that character, some people, they're going to love that because they get the opportunity to do it. They're good at improv or whatever. And other people, it's like, I am not this person. I'm not capable of being this person. Let me explain to you what I want my person to be able
Sure.
to do, and let me roll the die to see if it's possible. And the argument that kept coming back, because this about like making this guy say the words accurately, act it out accurately, was you don't make someone bench press when they do a strength check.
No.
You know?
Right. Okay. And I see where they're going with that. I think that this is all session zero shit.
Yeah.
And we're off AI and we need to get back onto AI. And it seems like in this example, you've got somebody using a tool to help them with that part of it. And
Yeah.
if your dialogue, your narrative at that table is important, let them use that tool. I think the easiest pivot for that is what we've already said is like, just describe, what
Yeah.
we do. And then the dice are going to tell you how well that happened. Otherwise you can be asking your players to do improv.
Yeah.
And that's a tough ask.
Yeah, because realistically, given the I get awkward when I'm put on the spot situation, if I were at a table that expected me to like actively persuade the DM and be really, I would have to use AI to fix that too.
And or
Because
you,
I
or
can't
you end up not
overcome that.
playing the character you want to play.
Right.
You know?
Or you don't play at that table. That's why that session zero conversation, guys, you're going to have to, if you're doing your chant for your spell, I need to know your chant for that spell. Some DMs want it. Those are agreements at the table beforehand. And if it's
I gotta go.
right, yeah,
I gotta
Yeah.
go.
Not
I'm
every table is the best fit. for
Sure.
every
I'm sorry.
player.
You're praying for a blessing. Well, okay, let's hear it. Yeah. Well, in some tables are definitely, and I wrote the language and it came from this ancestor and cool. Just know that table. I want to keep going with this. We're kind of off AI, but this idea that it can be used as a tool is something that we're getting to. Arcadia, I know that you've got so much more to share with us. I like this. I think that we're addressing it the right way. I think that it's a crunchy topic.
It really is. People are very passionate about it.
Absolutely. And let's get back into it after a break here on Finding a Toria.
When you sit down at the table, open the books, and spill out the dice, you're looking for an epic adventure. Tabletop role-playing is more popular than ever, and every day new players join our great hobby. My name is Steve Kellums, and I'm the host of the Epic Adventure Podcast. I'm just a fan with a radio voice, but joining me on this quest will be Mike Howlett, the co-founder of Oddfish Games, a great independent game company, and Christina Stiso, a PhD student studying game-based learning. Together, we will discuss all things tabletop gaming, from character creation to world building to setting and pacing. We will give you tips and tricks to make your games, well, epic. Like and subscribe to the Epic Adventure Podcast today.
This episode of Finding a Toria is brought to you by Wordleaf Media. The Finding a Toria podcast is looking for guests for our upcoming episodes. Are you or someone you know passionate about the TTRPG community and have a story to share? If so, contact us on our socials or reach out at wordleafmedia.com/findingatoria. And now back to your program. Welcome back from the break on Finding Atoria. We are down in the muck and the mire of a rather heady topic in the usage of AI in our hobby of TTRPGs. We've talked a little bit about placement, how it's used, why it's used, some of the things that it can be used for, and we kind of all decided that we had to show different sides of this thing too. And as Arcadia alluded to, there's not 100% ringing support for this overall, much less in our hobby. And we discussed a lot about it being a tool and a resource. And you talked, Arcadia, about this industrial revolution as an example of taking away jobs and functions and creations from the human and over to machine. And that's not always worked out very well historically.
No.
When applied without responsibility.
Right.
And what did you find was out there in this conversation that maybe doesn't have to do with, hey, you're taking from creatives, it's not just the business and artistic integrity side of it. This might not be the best tool.
I would say the argument that I hear the most that really doesn't have anything to do with TTRPGs, doesn't have to do with, whether you're using it professionally or personally or anything like that, is really just about the impact that AI data centers have on the environment.
Okay.
Some people just absolutely will not touch the tool, because the reality is that they have a really big impact on electrical usage on the power grid, and water usage.
You're taking a lot of resources to get these things done, this high level of computing that I know nothing about.
I don't want to delve into that too much, but I thought it was an interesting fact, so I just want to pull it out. I mean, they were saying like one of these data centers, it can have the power usage of a country.
They blocked one not too far from where we live. Is all of a sudden it was a big deal. They were going to build this. And actually, I think it was Google. We're going to build this data center. And
Meta is building one off of 32.
Is it Meta? Maybe it was
And
Meta.
it is going, it is building.
They are getting it through.
Yeah.
One of them didn't go through.
Yeah.
One of them they fought like hell not to do because of all of the above.
And I don't want to take us too far.
No.
This is
I'm
the
just
rabbit
saying
hole,
that.
and
Right. Yeah.
I don't think any of us, even collectively at the table, have a depth of knowledge on
No, not at all.
that,
I just thought that was,
except for-
I didn't realize it was that.
It's out there.
like, that's impressive.
It's out there.
Honestly.
So you can go at this from a lot of different ways, but if we're looking at this, and this is another, I think, fact-based argument just on how the tool is structured, and Jess, I don't want to put you on the spot, but you've probably had more experience in the usage of this tool in different segments of what you do day in and day out, professionally and otherwise. But this idea that you don't have the option to draw a line between whether you are infringing on creators or not, because the second you use it, this is an amalgamation of online data, correct? That is extrapolated out into an AI engine. So those things that are online are being pulled often without credit and without payment and being used to produce these outcomes. Do you understand that to be correct in what an artist or a creator might have the argument to say that, like, hey, you don't get a choice on whether you're stealing from me when you use this, because it's pulling from what's out there, and what's out there is mine.
So again, this is a pretty deep topic that I don't have all of the info on. Like, I have to use it professionally. Like, I have several clients that like they want it used and they pay me to use it. I've got other clients that don't want me to touch it at all. So, I just abide by their, if they literally want to pay me to use it, then all right, that's the job, is to use it for this. So I have used it for work, and my understanding and I'm obviously, if I'm wrong, please correct me. I'm aware that
Not
this is a
coming to
whole
you as an
topic
authority,
is-
but just
Yeah.
your
Right.
interface with it.
My understanding was that it is a language prediction model.
Okay.
It's not C3PO. It is a language model. It kind of strings together sentences based on what should, via its pattern recognition, come up next.
Okay.
And that means that all of the work that creatives have done, that it's been trained on them as this is an example of the English language, essentially.
Okay.
It's not feeding them in and saying, oh, haha, this is now ours. If you ask it to produce a creative work, it's not going to copy the stuff that I suppose it could. I haven't seen it do this. It's not going to give you word for word exactly
Taking
what.
that.
Yeah, because they
Feeling
are,
directly.
yeah, they're aware of copyright stuff, but it's that it's used for the training of it to have
Of
it
the
better
engine,
be
yeah.
able to predict what ought to come next in its pattern. So that's my understanding of how it works, but that does not mean that the materials used for training ought to be done without some sort of compensation. And I think that's
very
the
good
argument
caveat.
is-
Very, very
yeah.
good caveat.
Okay.
So, again, same caveat as Jess. I'm not an expert on this at all, but it seems to me that it is doing what we do as people, just faster. So, for example, if I could go out to web pages and get information, maybe I have a topic. You used to have to do this. You're doing a
Resource book.
You're doing a research. Go ahead, Burb.
So I'm a nurse. I'm a triage nurse. If everybody knows what my chart is,
Right.
there's AI in there
Yep.
Oh, it's everywhere.
for predictors
Right.
for messages.
Right.
Now, whether you use it or not, you don't have to use it. But a lot of times it will come up with information that you were going to put in there anyway. As a nurse, sometimes it's easier to just copy and paste.
Back
Right.
to what
Or
Jess
start
said,
with
where
draft.
you've got a language prediction
Right.
engine that is okay.
But it's not creative.
Right.
It is nature or information only.
And so Jess and I actually work together. I also use AI in the job that we do together. And, what I notice out of it is what I would have used to have done is done a Google search, pulled up a bunch of internet pages that had a certain topic on it, gone to all those internet pages, read the information about it, and then amalgamated it together into information that I am providing. It's doing that a hell of a lot faster.
This very powerful
Yeah,
tool.
most of what I use it for is making the research go faster, and because I can tell it to give me links.
And so that's
So-
not
so
so that's
pull it
not
back.
stealing, I guess, is where I'm getting. That's the whole point of it.
Okay.
Not all uses of it involve stealing something. I think the theft is really more of the I didn't consent for my work to be used in the training.
Right.
Gotcha. That's a good distinction. I want to pull it back to TTRPGs.
Yeah, definitely.
And I want to kind of go into this idea of when is the table not really the table that you're creating when you're using this? Is there a point in time where it can tip? Are you looking at a balance of usage to where if you're taking away the role-playing dialogue from the one player that doesn't like to do it, and then the other one's backstory is completely created through Chat GPT, and then you've got... Are we in danger at the hobby? Is there a level of application of this tool that can actually take the righteousness out of what I'm sorry is a role-playing game and in a collaborative storytelling environment?
I would say yes. I think there is a line.
Yeah.
And tell me a little bit about that. Let's talk about what would that look like? Where, is it that just tip of balance where it's too prevalent?
So what's going through my head is I think you could get to a point where you're no longer doing a TTRPG. You might as well be doing a video game.
Right, with really crummy
Right.
graphics because you're all still looking at the GM. But that's the thing that I'm worried about. Like if we all have laptops up, right, and instead of being on D&D Beyond, we're on our favorite little AI tool, and I put in a little prompt for the opening scene. and then we roll initiative, and then whoever gets initiative does a little prompt based on my prompt and the scene and what their character. At some point in time, I don't
You're
know
not
that
gaming.
we're not gaming at that point.
You're just typing.
And I will throw out this as devil's advocate. There are going to be people who that's perfect for them.
That already are. They're
already doing it, and to be fair, to come back to our stance about being at the table, be at the table that suits you, and if that suits you, then enjoy it.
Gotcha. And the other thing that I would say is, once again, we are not in new space as far as this sort of activity of we're playing a game via chat room. We're doing post to play. We're doing text to play. There are all sorts of different tables that use all sorts of different technologies. I think for a tabletop role-playing game to be that, it can't be done in that space exclusively to fit that TTRPG model, because at some point in time you're a hybrid between, it's a post-to-play game. They have different names for this. And if you want to do that, that's a
choose your own adventure.
It is. It's or have AI choose your adventure for you. I clutch my pearls because I want to GM. Doesn't have to be me, but I want to GM at that table. I want a storyteller.
I will say that I think if you go to a point where AI is so pervasive in your game that you're going to start to lose the benefits we've talked about. It's been ages since we've talked about, but there's so many benefits to the creativity, to the interaction, to the problem solving,
the
to
agency that you get. Yeah.
I think you start to lose the benefits of the TTRPG if you embed too much AI into all of that. That is not me saying don't use it. I just think you got to be careful a little bit.
Thoughts on this, Bird? Where do you use it in your game currently?
I don't.
I was going to say, I don't know that you've ever jumped up and said, I won't, and I hate it, but I don't see that you do.
Nope.
And I think that there's enough tools out there that allow us to not have to.
Well, and I honestly, when it comes to the future, I think there are still plenty of storytellers out there.
Yeah.
Right.
And just because you're not the GM or DM doesn't mean you're still a storyteller.
Yep.
There are enough storytellers that would use it as a tool if needed, but there's enough people who know how to play yes and.
Right.
And speaking of a great example of yes and that does not need a big data center to pull it off, something like the Radiance game engine.
Yes.
You're still getting those prompts. You're still being able to have creative kick an idea. So there are other tools out there that I think can work, but do we do it as well? Is it as efficient? Some of the things that Jess was talking about with Arcadia is I'm going to go out there and Google all of those things anyway. If I'm going to do research on the internet, I'm going to spend time flipping through books. And if I'm trying to get to the same outcome of an informed plot mechanic or an informed outline of a campaign,
I'll be honest, where I use it for game is to do a quick check on a rule.
Oh,
it's not I know our rules maestro's like, but it's
we're outmoded over here, Bird.
It takes a ton of time to flip through books. And not to say I enjoy flipping through books, don't get me wrong, but it's if I'm in the middle of a game and I'm like, oh shit, how does that work?
It's a faster tool.
It's a very quick, fast tool.
It's a good backup for if Bird's not there. I think we all prefer to ask Bird if she is there, if she is present. But I think that's only the occasions when she's unavailable is when we do that.
I think they reserve this level of disrespect for the third episode recorded.
Apparently, I was not like making enough noise at the very beginning of this episode.
You remember Johnny Appleseed just lost by that much wood, too.
By the way, fuck you. Like, oh, all right. I don't want to play this game anymore.
Bird just got chainsawed. It was not pretty. Okay,
I'm
so
sorry, I wasn't trying to do
oh no,
No,
nobody
you're fine.
was
You're
trying
fine.
to.
You're fine.
Giving shit, giving shit.
You're all good. You're all good, dude.
Like, for me, I don't like my personal line with the usage of AI tools is if it's going to replace something that I was doing myself, then no. If it's going to make something I was doing myself faster, then maybe. If it's going to add something that I wasn't doing anyway, then yeah, sure, why not? And my example of the cargo crates that my players ran across the last game I ran is a good example. Like, I hadn't planned for there to be anything in them. They were just general cargo crates. I would never have filled them with anything in particular. They asked if I hadn't had an AI tool there to just like give me some random stuff that could go in there, I would have just been like, it's supplies. There are rations in there. Do you want to take the ration? And then that's
Gygaxian tables.
Exactly.
and like that's what I would have gone with.
That's what we used to have, man.
98 dirty undershorts.
But what it came up with instead was like a variety of different things. It's like, okay, now I have this list of things I can read
And you
from.
got
like,
that on the fly too. You
Right.
got that, and you were able to. And I'm not stealing thunder, but it became something.
Yeah.
It became a little thing that was a hook that wasn't there. But what I'm hearing is optimization. You're not trying to replace your role and your function as GM, but you've got a tool that can add to that, that can be responsive to that.
Right.
And because of, and here's the one thing that I do like about it, Google doesn't remember me the way that AI does. So I can go back into something. I can have that voice, that tone, that style of what I'm doing there revitalized when needed on the fly.
I'm not the world's greatest improv. I'm not the greatest at improv.
It's not your skill set.
It's not my skill set. Like, I am a storyteller, sure, but like that's when I get a chance to plan it in advance. So my GMing style does require, being a GM requires a lot of flexibility because your players are gonna mess your shit up real fast. And yeah,
Everybody screwed up my game last time. The evil
keep it on
cackling over here is because we're the players that mess her shit up.
Chaos gremlins.
So when they ask me something like, what's in these crates? I'm like, oh shit, I didn't plan anything for that because it was just supposed to be background stuff. All right, well, yeah,
wanna talk
ChatGPT
to
can
the
give me a
squirrel.
bunch of stuff.
Right.
And that it makes it a little bit more interesting than it's rations again.
And by the end of the game, we are building a drug empire.
Of glow in the dark lichen, by the way.
I totally forgot. It's my job to keep this shit on the rails, isn't it? Moving right along. So we kind of, I think, have hit broad brush strokes on this thing, which, and yeah, we can be scaredy pants for not getting on one side of the argument, adamantly or the other, but I believe that it's not going to be leaving us anytime soon.
No.
I think that there is a path forward to reduce environmental impact. Hopefully the people that are the big brains in this are looking at that immediately. Probably not, but then when saving the planet becomes profitable, we got a shot. Until then, I think that it's something that, conversations need to continue on. I don't know enough about it to really align but be careful what you're reading. Be careful what you're investing your time into, because a lot of people are out there and a lot of bots are out there to kick you into a divisive space on anything and everything, including AI in our TTRPGs. Final thoughts going around the room.
I want to just say, I can't say it strongly enough. When you have a situation in which you need a creative, go to a creative.
They're out there.
Let's not lose our artists.
No.
Of any sort.
It's something that
any
makes
sort, yeah.
humans incredibly unique. Let's not hand it over to the robots.
Yeah, and honestly, I'm literally using AI as part of my job. I'm a writer, and I can use that to do certain things faster, but left to its own devices,
It's not very.
It misses the soul of what makes something human. So the art isn't the same. The writing isn't the same because it lacks that human
element
spark.
Yeah.
Yep.
Use it as a tool.
Yeah.
Not the end all be all. Use it as a tool.
Right. And I think we can close it out there on something that we could spend days talking about.
Right.
I'd like, if people are listening to this and you have positive commentary to add, talk to us about it. I just think that it's something, especially with our hobby, especially with the community of gamers, that we're going to have a big say in how it goes forward. And we're not going to do any closeout music. We're going to talk to you guys next week. And thank you so much for joining us on Finding a Toria. You tell them bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye. This episode of Finding a Toria is brought to you by Wordleaf Media. Find us at wordleafmedia.com/findingatoria if you or anyone you know has stories or other good things to say about TTRPGs. Get a hold of us. You can find us on all the social medias.
This episode of Finding a Toria is brought to you by Wordleaf Media. Are you interested in sharing stories of your favorite TTRPG experiences? If so, reach out at www.wordleafmedia.com/contact us on our socials, or you can now leave a comment on your favorite Finding a Toria episode at our Wordleaf Media YouTube channel.